The Academy thought the Queldan cadet was fragile. 3 days later, a human proved that hurting her friend was the most expensive mistake they would ever make. So, here is the thing about the Galactic Military Academy that nobody tells you in the recruitment hollows. They say it is a place of honor, discipline, and unity among the stars. What they do not mention is that it is also a place where ancient prejudices wear uniforms and call themselves tradition. My name is Krell and I am a documentation specialist for the Academy, which is a fancy way of saying I watch things happen, write them down, and try not to get killed in the process. My species, the Venthari, we are observers by nature, 4 eyes, excellent memory and absolutely zero combat capability. Perfect for paperwork, terrible for everything else. The incident happened on a Tuesday. Well, what we call Tuesday. Humans have their own name for it. But honestly, their calendar makes my head hurt. Training Ground 7 was packed that morning. Combat drills, scenario simulations, the usual stuff meant to turn soft academy recruits into proper soldiers. Commander Vexthor was running the show. Big guy, even by Krovolian standards. His species prides themselves on being the warrior elite of the galaxy. 8 feet tall, 4 arms, skin like armored plates, and an ego that could fill a cargo bay. The exercise was simple. Navigate the obstacle course, extract the wounded, get to the extraction point. Standard stuff. We had 40 cadets participating, including 2 that would change everything. Rena Vale. Human, female. 5'6" of pure Deathworld insanity wrapped in a regulation uniform. She had been at the Academy for 6 months, and in that time she had broken 11 training records, hospitalized 3 sparring partners, and somehow befriended the least likely person in the entire facility. Pete. Yes, that is actually his name. He is a Quilvan, which is a species that looks like someone combined a teddy bear with a butterfly and then gave it anxiety. They are from a garden world, so peaceful that their greatest historical conflict was called the disagreement of soft words. Pape stood, maybe 3 feet tall, had fur that shifted colors with his emotions, and possessed all the combat instinct of a particularly gentle houseplant. Why was he even in the military academy? Scholarship program. His people wanted representation. Poor little guy. Rena had adopted him on day 1. Not in a patronizing way, mind you. She genuinely liked him. They studied together, ate together, and she had personally threatened 5 different cadets who made fun of his size. Those threats were delivered quietly, calmly, and with the kind of smile that made you check your life insurance policy. The exercise started fine. Rena and Pip were on different teams, but they waved to each other before heading into the course. She gave him a thumbs up. He changed colors to happy yellow. It was adorable. I made a note about cadet morale. Then everything went wrong. Pep's team was moving through the electrified barrier section. Tricky part requires timing and coordination. The barriers cycle on and off. You have to move in the gaps. Standard procedure is to go one at a time with a spotter calling the rhythm. Except Sergeant Draxnor, Vexthor's favorite little toady, decided standard procedure was boring. He cranked up the cycle speed. Just turned the dial. No warning, no authorization. I saw him do it. I was standing right there with my datapad, watching, and I saw his smug face as he made the course 3 times harder than regulation allowed. But did not stand a chance. The barrier caught him mid-jump. 50,000 volts designed to stun a full-grown Krovolian hit a creature that weighed maybe 60 pounds. The sound was horrible, like meat hitting a griddle, mixed with a scream that no creature that gentle should ever have to make. He flew backward, smoking, convulsing, and collapsed in a heap. Everything stopped. Everyone stared. Except Rena. She was across the training ground 100 meters away, but I swear on my ancestors I saw her head snap around the instant it happened. Her face went blank, not angry, not shocked, just nothing. Empty. She dropped her practice rifle, turned and started walking toward the obstacle course. Not running, walking. Slow, steady, purposeful. Draxmore was laughing. Actually laughing, saying something about how the little furball should have moved faster, how this was a military academy, not a petting zoo. Rena kept walking. Medics rushed to Pip. His fur was charred black in places, still sparking with residual current. They loaded him on a stretcher, rushing him toward the medical facility. Rena stopped walking. She stood there 20 meters from Draxmore, watching them take her friend away. Then she looked at the sergeant. Really looked at him. I have seen a lot of expressions in my time at the academy. rage, fear, determination, joy. But I had never seen what was on Rena Vale's face in that moment. It was calculation. Cold. Mathematical. Like she was measuring him for a coffin and doing the math in her head. Draxnor noticed her staring. He puffed up his chest, grinned with too many teeth, and flexed his upper arms. Rena said nothing. She just turned and walked away. That silence was worse than any threat. Trust me on this. I have 4 eyes, and all of them were screaming danger signals. Commander Vexthor dismissed the incident. Equipment malfunction, he called it. These things happen in training. It builds character. The little Quilven would be fine. Probably. But I kept watching Rena. She went to her quarters calm as still water, and that is when I knew someone was going to die. Or at least wish they had. The official incident report took Commander Vexthor approximately 4 minutes to file. I know because I was required to witness it. 4 minutes to dismiss the near death of a cadet as a training mishap. Equipment sensitivity error, he called it. Recommended that Quilven physiology be noted as incompatible with standard voltage parameters going forward. No mention of Draxnor touching the controls. No mention of unauthorized difficulty adjustment. Nothing. I filed my own report, naturally. 3 copies. All were flagged as pending review, which is Academy speak for we are putting this in a drawer and forgetting it exists. The Academy brass did not care. Pip was alive, technically. His species had decent regenerative capability for electrical burns. He would recover. Move along, nothing to see here. Maintain discipline and order. They were idiots. I went to the medical bay that evening. Professional obligation, you understand. Documentation specialist duties and all that. Definitely not because I wanted to see what would happen when Rena showed up. Who am I kidding? I absolutely wanted to see what would happen. Pep was in Tank 3, suspended in regenerative gel. The medical staff had him stabilized, but he looked rough. His fur was patchy, burned away in several places. His colors were stuck in this dull gray that Quilven only show when they are in serious pain. He was conscious, barely, and his little hands kept twitching. Rena arrived at 2000 hours. Exact. She had showered, changed into fresh fatigues. Her hair was pulled back tight, still damp. Her face was clean, composed, calm. She carried a small bag with her. She nodded to the medical officer on duty, a Henterai named Nurse Silvek. Silvek is good people. 7 tentacles, 3 hearts, and actually gives a damn about patients. Rare quality in military medicine. Silvek let Rena through without question. I positioned myself near the observation window. 4 eyes have advantages. I could watch Rena and monitor the hallways simultaneously. Rena pulled up a chair next to Pip's tank. She sat down, placed her bag on her lap, and just looked at him for a long moment. Then she started talking. Quietly. I could not hear the words through the glass, but I could see her lips moving. She was telling him something. Maybe a story, maybe a promise. Her expression never changed. Still calm, still controlled. Here is what you need to understand about humans. Most species, when they are angry, they show it immediately. Krovolians roar and smash things. Venthuri, like me, turn purple and vibrate. Henturi release stress pheromones. You know where you stand. Humans? Humans go quiet. The madder they get, the calmer they appear. It is a survival mechanism from their Deathworld. Predator behavior. They assess, plan, and then strike when you least expect it. Emotional suppression as a tactical advantage. Rena sat with Pip for 2 hours. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small data pad. She read to him. I later found out it was a book from Earth. Something about rabbits. Pip's colors shifted slightly toward pale blue. Comfort. When she finally stood to leave, she placed one hand on the tank, flat palm against the glass. Pip managed to raise one small paw and press it to the same spot from inside. She leaned close and said something. 1 sentence. I am decent at reading lips. I will fix this. Then she left. Same calm walk, same blank expression. She nodded to Nurse Silvek on the way out. I followed her. At a distance, of course, self-preservation instincts. She went back to her quarters. Lights on for approximately 30 minutes, then off. But here is the thing. Her roommate, a Vixilian named Terra, she left the room 20 minutes after lights out. I caught her in the corridor. Asked where she was going. Rena told me to leave, Terra said. Very politely, very calmly. Said she needed the room to herself tonight. Said it would be safer. Safer. That word spread through the academy like radiation. By morning everyone knew. The human girl's friend got hurt. The human girl went quiet. Command did nothing. Species that had been in the galaxy longer than humans had records started getting nervous. The Krovolians, who feared nothing, suddenly remembered that humanity's homeworld had killed 90% of everything that ever lived on it. Multiple times. And humans were what survived. The Phyloxians, whose entire military doctrine was based on intimidation, recalled that humans invented the concept of mutually assured destruction and then looked at it as a reasonable foreign policy. Even the Zemthaks, who were cybernetically enhanced and supposedly emotionless, started calculating probability matrices for violent human responses to perceived injustice. Deathworlder behavior, they called it, whispered in the mess halls, the barracks, the training grounds. Rena went about her normal routine the next day. Classes, physical training, meals. She smiled at appropriate times, answered questions when called upon, helped a struggling cadet with their marksmanship, perfectly normal. That was what terrified everyone, because we all knew. When a human goes that calm, that controlled, that perfectly normal, someone is about to have a very bad day. I just hoped I would be far enough away to watch safely when it happened. Spoiler alert. I was not. It happened 3 days after the incident. 3 days of Rena being absolutely, horrifyingly normal. 3 days of the entire academy walking on eggshells around her. 3 days of Commander Vexthor strutting around like he owned the place. Because, well, he kind of did. I was in Training Ground 7 again. Paperwork never stops, even when you are pretty sure someone is about to commit murder, or whatever passes for murder when the victim can regenerate. Vexthor was running drills with his personal squad. Showing off, mostly. Krovolians love an audience. He was demonstrating some kind of advanced grappling technique, tossing around a practice dummy that weighed about 300 pounds like it was a child's toy. Draxnor was there too, laughing at his commander's jokes, being generally awful. Business as usual. Then Rena walked in. Not stormed in. Not charged in. Walked. Same calm pace she had maintained for 3 days. She was in her standard duty uniform. No weapons, no armor, just her. The entire training ground went silent. 40 cadets, 6 instructors, all frozen. You could have heard a pin drop in vacuum. Vexthor noticed her. He actually grinned. All 4 arms crossed over his massive chest. 8 feet of arrogant predator looking down at 5'6" of human. Well, he said. His voice was deep, rumbling, the kind that vibrated your bones. The little Deathworlder finally decides to show some spine. You here to file a complaint, cadet? Because I believe we already covered that. Accidents happen. Your pet should be more careful. Rena stopped about 10 feet away from him. Her hands were relaxed at her sides. Her face was calm. When she spoke, her voice was conversational, almost friendly. Pep is not my pet, she said. He is my friend. There is a difference. Vexthor laughed. The sound echoed off the walls. Is there? He seems rather fragile for this environment. Perhaps the military is not the place for his kind. Perhaps you should reconsider your choice of companions. Rena tilted her head slightly, like she was considering his words, actually thinking about them. You are right, she said. This environment is dangerous. Accidents happen all the time. Do they not, Commander? Oh, I did not like where this was going. I started backing toward the exit. Slowly, carefully. Vexthor uncrossed his arms. He sensed something too. Predator instincts. They are useful. I suppose they do, he said. His tone shifted. Harder now. You have something on your mind, cadet. Just one thing, Rena said. She took a step forward. When someone hurts my friend, I hurt them back. It is a human thing. You might have read about it. Vexthor's expression darkened. That sounds like a threat. Threatening a superior officer is a court-martial offense. Rena smiled. It was not a nice smile. Oh no, Commander. Not a threat. A cultural exchange, educational purposes. Then she moved. I have watched a lot of combat footage. Hundreds of hours. Species from across the galaxy, fighting in every style you can think of. I thought I understood violence. I understood nothing. Rena covered 10 feet in less than a second. Vexthor was fast for his size, got 2 arms up to block, but she was not where he expected. She dropped low, slid under his guard, and drove her fist into his knee joint. The sound was like a gunshot. Crevolian joints are triple reinforced. She hit it hard enough to hyperextend it backward. Vexthor roared. Actual roar. Swung down with his upper left arm. A blow that would have shattered a normal human spine. Rena rolled with it. The impact still caught her shoulder, sent her tumbling, but she turned the tumble into a controlled roll and came up on her feet. I saw her wince. That had hurt. She did not care. Around the training ground, people were screaming. Some cadets ran. Smart ones. Others stood there with their mouths open. Idiots. Draxmore started forward to help his commander. A Hintari cadet built like a tank grabbed him with 4 tentacles and yanked him back. "Not your fight," the Hintari hissed. Vexthor was not used to being hurt. He charged forward, all 4 arms reaching, trying to grab, crush, overwhelm with superior strength. Rena did not run. She stepped in close. Closer than anyone sane would get to an enraged Crevolian. She ducked under his upper arms, blocked his lower left with her forearm, and drove her palm into his throat. Not hard enough to kill, hard enough to make him gag, choke, stumble. She grabbed his lower right arm, the one he used least, relied on least, planted her foot against his hip for leverage, and pulled. No, wait, that is not accurate. She wrenched, twisted, used her entire body, her legs, her core, her back. Humans are built for persistence hunting, for endurance, for applying force over time. Crevolians can regenerate. Everyone knows this. They are proud of it. Limbs grow back in a few months. It is a combat advantage, but it still has to come off first. The sound was worse than anything I have ever heard. Tearing, cracking, rending. Vexthor was screaming. Rena was silent, focused, determined. The arm separated at the shoulder joint with a wet pop that I will hear in my nightmares until I die. Rena staggered back, holding a 4-foot-long Crevolian arm. Blue blood was pouring from the shoulder socket. Vexthor collapsed to one knee, 3 remaining arms clutching at the wound, howling in pain and rage and disbelief. Rena stood there, breathing hard, sweating. She looked down at the arm in her hands, looked back at Vexthor, then at Draxmore, who had gone very, very pale. "Tell your sergeant," she said, still breathing hard, "that Pip says hello." She turned, started walking toward the exit, still carrying the arm, casually, like it was a gym bag. The entire training ground was dead silent except for Vexthor's gasping. Security was rushing in. Medical teams, officers, everyone shouting at once. Rena walked right past them. They parted like water. Nobody wanted to be next. I stood there, all 4 eyes wide, datapad forgotten. A cadet next to me, a Phaloxian, whispered, "What do we do?" I watched Rena disappear through the doorway, calm as ever, carrying a commander's arm. "We," I said slowly, "stay very, very far away from her friends." The Phaloxian nodded. Agreement achieved. Chaos is a funny word. It sounds dramatic, exciting even. In reality, chaos is just a lot of people running in different directions while screaming into communicators and accomplishing absolutely nothing. Security teams mobilized. Medical personnel rushed to Vexthor. Academy brass started yelling at each other about protocols and procedures and who was responsible for what. It was beautiful, in a pathetic sort of way. And through it all, Renavale walked. She took the main corridor. Not the back passages, not the service tunnels, the main corridor. The one with the big windows overlooking the central courtyard. The one that every cadet uses between classes. There were witnesses. So many witnesses. Cadet Jorax, a Phaloxian in his 3rd year, told me later that he was heading to the mess hall when he saw her. Just walking, normal pace, normal expression. Except she was carrying a severed arm that was still dripping blue blood on the floor. He pressed himself against the wall and held his breath until she passed. Cadet Yuna, a Zinthax with full combat augmentation and supposedly no fear response, actually climbed into a waste disposal chute to avoid crossing her path. 3 different security officers saw her. All 3 made the conscious decision to wait until she was out of sight before calling it in. Self-preservation instinct is universal, apparently. I followed. Of course I followed. This was the best documentation opportunity of my entire career. Also, I am an idiot. Rena went straight to the medical bay. Same one where Pip was recovering. She walked through the entrance, nodded to the scanner, waited patiently while it cleared her for entry. The scanner flagged the biological material she was carrying. Unregistered organic matter. Please report to security. Rena looked at the scanner, looked at the arm, looked back at the scanner. It is registered now, she said, then kept walking. The scanner, wisely, did not argue. Nurse Silvek was at the main station. All 7 tentacles froze when Rena walked in. 3 of Silvek's hearts probably stopped. I need to see Pip, Rena said, politely, like she was asking for directions. Silvek looked at her, looked at the arm, looked back at her. Tank 3, Silvek said quietly. Same as before. Rena smiled. Thank you. You are really good at your job. I appreciate you. Then she walked to Tank 3. Pip was awake. He had been recovering well according to the charts. His fur was growing back in patches. His colors were starting to normalize. He was reading something on a datapad when Rena approached. He looked up, saw her. His colors shifted to happy yellow immediately. Then he saw what she was carrying. His colors went to confused purple. Rena pulled up the same chair she had used before, sat down, placed the arm on the floor beside her, leaned forward so Pip could hear her through the tank speakers. Hey buddy, she said. Her voice was soft, gentle. Feeling better? Pip nodded. His small voice came through tinny on the external speakers. Yes, the doctors say I can leave tomorrow. Rena, what is that? Rena glanced at the arm. Oh, this belongs to Commander Vexthor. Well, used to belong to him. He will grow a new one. Pip's colors shifted through several shades I had never seen before. You took his arm. Rena nodded. He let his sergeant hurt you. Said it was an accident. Said you were too fragile, so I showed him what fragile actually means. Do not worry. He will be fine. Krovolians regenerate. But, Pip started. His colors were swirling now, confusion and concern mixing together. You could get in trouble, Rena shrugged. Maybe. Probably not, though. I have been reading the Academy combat protocols very thoroughly. Turns out there are some interesting loopholes. That was when I finally understood. Humans do not do proportional response. Not the way we understand it. They do not match force with equal force. They do not measure their reaction to fit the offense. They end the problem, permanently, decisively, with enough force that nobody ever thinks about creating that problem again. I tried to hurt Rena's friend, so Rena hurt Pip. No. That would be proportional by galactic standards. Rena went after the person responsible. The person in charge. The person who created the environment where hurting Pip was acceptable. She did not just send a message. She carved it into Krovolian flesh and made sure everyone in the Academy could read it. You hurt my friend. I hurt you worse. Simple. Direct. Human. The officials arrived about 10 minutes later. Admiral Thornix herself, the Academy commandant, a Valorian with 40 years of military service and exactly 0 patience for nonsense. She walked into the medical bay with 6 security officers, saw Rena sitting calmly by Pip's tank, saw the arm on the floor. Cadet Vale, the Admiral said. Her voice could cut steel. You are aware that you just assaulted a superior officer. Rena stood. Came to attention. Perfect military posture. Yes, Admiral. You ripped off his arm. Yes, Admiral. His lower right arm specifically. He has 3 others, plus regeneration. He will be fine in a few months. The Admiral stared at her. You understand this is a serious offense. Rena's expression did not change. I do, Admiral. I also understand that unauthorized modification of training equipment resulting in cadet injury is a serious offense, as is failure to report said injury accurately, as is creating a hostile environment for non-combatant species enrolled under diplomatic scholarship programs. The room went very quiet. I filed my reports, Rena continued. 3 days ago, all flagged as pending review. No action was taken, so I took action myself. Academy Regulation 7-4-2, subsection B. Cadets are authorized to use reasonable force to defend themselves or other cadets from immediate or ongoing threat. That regulation is for self-defense during active combat, the Admiral said. Rena nodded. Yes, Admiral. And Pip was nearly killed during a training exercise that was deliberately sabotaged. I assessed that the threat was ongoing given Command's refusal to address the incident. I neutralized the threat. No permanent damage inflicted. Proportional response achieved. The legal team is going to have a field day with this, the Admiral muttered. Probably Rena agreed. But they will also have to review Sergeant Draxmore's actions and Commander Vexthor's negligence. and the Academy's failure to protect a diplomatic scholarship recipient. She paused. I imagine the Quilven home government will be very interested in those reviews. The Admiral's expression could have melted hull plating. You planned this. I read the regulations, Rena said simply. I followed them. Sir, checkmate. The Academy could not punish her without opening themselves up to massive diplomatic incidents. Could not charge her without charging Vexthor and Draxmore. Could not dismiss the incident without admitting their own failures. Rena had not just ripped off an arm. She had ripped apart their entire chain of command. The Admiral looked at Rena for a long moment. Then at Pip, then at the arm on the floor. You are confined to quarters pending investigation, she finally said. Dismissed. Rena saluted. Yes, Admiral. She turned to Pip. See you tomorrow, buddy. Then she walked out. Calm, collected, victorious. I stood there, updating my files, processing what I had just witnessed. Proportional response. Human style. The galaxy was going to have to rewrite that definition. News travels fast in the digital age. News about a human ripping off a Crovolian commander's arm, that travels at faster than light speeds. Within 6 hours, every cadet in the Academy knew the full story. Within 12 hours, every military academy in the sector had heard about it. Within 24 hours, it was on the galactic nets. The headline from the Philoxian News Network read, Deathworld Cadet dismembers superior officer, legal experts baffled. The Hintari Information Collective went with human demonstrates pack bonding behavior. Experts recommend caution. My personal favorite was from the Zintax data stream. Probability matrices for human friendship now classified as dangerous. Update your threat assessments immediately. The forums exploded. Everyone had an opinion. A DeLorean military analyst posted a 3-hour breakdown of the fight. Concluded that Rena had calculated every move at least 5 steps in advance, called it beautiful in its efficiency, terrifying in its execution. A Crovolian combat instructor, ironically, posted a tutorial on how to defend against the specific joint lock Rena had used. Title: If a human grabs your arm like this, it is already too late. The philosophy departments at 6 different universities started debates about human concepts of justice versus galactic standards of proportional response. Those debates are still ongoing, probably will be for decades. But the really interesting reactions? Those came from inside the Academy. The Crovolians, bless their warrior hearts, did not react the way anyone expected. Vexthor was in medical for a week. Regeneration is fast, but it is not comfortable. He had plenty of time to think. Plenty of time to receive visitors. Turns out, the Crovolian military culture has some nuances the rest of us missed. They respect strength, yes, but they also respect courage, honor, direct action. Rena had challenged a superior officer in single combat, had won decisively, had done it to defend a weaker companion, and she had done it knowing full well the consequences. That is peak Crovolian honor code. Right there. Draxner got dishonorably discharged. Not because he hurt Pip, ironically, because he did it in a cowardly way. Modified equipment instead of facing an opponent directly. Vexthor himself filed the charges. Said Draxner had brought shame to their people. When Vexthor finally left medical, arm fully regenerated, he went straight to the training grounds. Found Rena running drills. He approached. She stopped. Went to attention. The entire training ground went silent. Again, we were getting used to that. Vexthor looked at her for a long moment. Then he did something nobody expected. He bowed. Full formal Crovolian bow. All 4 arms crossed over his chest, head lowered. You have honor, small warrior, he said. His voice carried across the field. I failed in my duty. You corrected my failure. This is the way of warriors. Rena blinked, probably the most surprised I had ever seen her. Thank you, Commander. Vexthor straightened. My people have a saying. The strongest blade is tempered in the hottest fire. You are strong. Your friend is fortunate to have you. Then he turned and walked away. Just like that, Rena went from potential court-martial to Crovolian folk hero. The warrior cadets started treating her with genuine respect. A few even asked her to train with them. She said yes. Of course she did. Pip recovered fully. Left medical after 8 days with a clean bill of health. His fur grew back shinier than before. Something about the regenerative gel improving follicle structure. He was thrilled. The first thing he did was find Rena, threw his little arms around her waist, hugged her tight. Thank you, he said. His colors were brilliant yellow. Happy. Safe. You did not have to do that. Rena hugged him back. Yes, I did. You are my friend. That is what friends do. Their bond became something of a legend itself. The human and the Quildan. The warrior and the pacifist. Everywhere Rena went, Pip was nearby. Everywhere Pip went, people knew better than to mess with him. The Academy made changes. Quietly. Officially. New regulation. All training equipment modifications must be logged and approved by 2 separate officers. Violation results in immediate dismissal. New regulation. Injuries during training exercises require mandatory investigation, not pending review. Mandatory. New regulation. Diplomatic scholarship recipients are assigned protection details during high-risk exercises. They called it the Quildan Protection Act. Everyone else called it the Do Not Make the Humans Angry Act. Deathworlder students got new classifications, new protocols. The Academy started actually reading the reports from Earth about human psychology, human pack bonding, human protective instincts. Turns out, there was a whole section about what happens when you threaten a human's chosen family. It was highlighted in red, marked as critical information. Nobody had bothered to read it before. They read it now. Other species started paying attention too. The Venthari Diplomatic Corps issued new guidelines for interacting with humans. Rule number 1. Do not harm their friends. Rule number 2. Seriously, did you not read rule number 1? The Phyloxian military updated their threat assessment matrices. Humans were moved up 3 categories, not because of their individual combat capability, because of their willingness to use that capability when emotionally motivated. The Zemtax just added a new subroutine to their behavior prediction algorithms. If human forms social bond, assign maximum priority to bond preservation. Threat to bond equals threat to human. Respond accordingly. 3 months after the incident, I was filing routine reports when I saw Rena and Pip in the courtyard. They were studying together. She was helping him with tactical analysis. He was helping her with xenobiology. A group of Krovolian cadets walked past, nodded respectfully to Rena. One of them patted Pip on the head gently. Pip changed to pleased pink. 6 months ago, that same Krovolian had called Pip a mascot. I made a note in my files. Cultural exchange successful. Understanding achieved. Galaxies slightly less likely to accidentally start a war with humanity. That last part was important because the really scary thing, Rena was not special. She was not some elite soldier or enhanced warrior. She was just a regular human doing what regular humans do, protecting their friends. If one regular human could dismantle a commander and reorganize Academy policy, what could humanity do if you actually threatened their whole species? Nobody wanted to find out. I certainly did not. So here is what I have learned in my years as a documentation specialist. The galaxy is big, impossibly big. Thousands of species, millions of worlds, countless cultures and traditions and ways of thinking. But somehow we all missed something fundamental about humans. We thought we understood them. We read their files, studied their history, classified their world as a death world and figured that explained everything. High gravity, aggressive predators, extreme weather, mass extinctions. Yeah. We got it. Tough species from a tough planet. What we did not get was why they were tough. Most species develop strength to survive against their environment. Humans develop strength to survive for each other. Their entire evolutionary history is built on social bonds, tribes, families, communities. They are pack animals who somehow became the apex predator, and they never lost that pack mentality. Here is the thing about pack animals. They will die for their pack, not metaphorically. Literally. A human will throw themselves in front of a threat to save someone they care about without even thinking about it. It is instinct, hardwired, automatic. We have loyalty in the galaxy. Sure, the Krovolians have honor codes. The Phyloxians have clan obligations. The Hentari have social contracts. But human loyalty? That is something else entirely. It is not transactional. It is not based on hierarchy or obligation or mutual benefit. It is chosen, personal, absolute. Pep did not offer Rena anything. He was not useful, not powerful, not connected. He was just a small, anxious person from a peaceful world trying his best, and that was enough. She chose him as a friend, and once that choice was made, he became as important to her as her own survival, maybe more important. That is what we missed. Humans do not form alliances, they form bonds. And those bonds are stronger than logic, stronger than self-preservation, stronger than any regulation or rule or threat. You want to understand human warfare? Their history of conflict? Do not look at their weapons or their tactics or their technology. Look at what they were fighting for. It was always each other. We also got escalation wrong. So wrong. The galactic standard for conflict is measured response. Someone pushes you, you push back. Someone hits you, you hit back. Tat for tat, proportional, reasonable. Humans do not escalate violence. That is the mistake everyone makes. They do not match force with force and slowly ramp up the intensity. They end it, immediately, decisively, overwhelmingly, because, to them, conflict is not about winning points or proving strength. It is about eliminating the threat, making sure it never happens again. Protecting the pack from future harm. Rena did not hurt Vexthor because she was angry. She hurt him because he was dangerous. Because he represented a system that allowed her friend to be harmed. Because as long as he was in power, Pip was not safe. So she removed him from power. Permanently. In a way that sent a clear message to everyone else in that system. Touch my friend again, and this happens to you. It worked. I see them sometimes. Rena and Pip. Usually in the library or the study halls. Sometimes in the mess. They eat lunch together every day. She gets the high-protein rations. He gets the vegetable medley. They swap desserts because he likes the chocolate and she prefers the fruit. Other cadets give them space. Not out of fear exactly. More like respect. Understanding. You do not interrupt that bond. You do not threaten it. You do not test it. The Crovolians nod to Rena when they pass. The Phyloxians step aside. Even the Zinthaks, with all their computational power, have calculated that the optimal strategy around Rena Vale is simply to be polite and leave her alone. Peep is thriving now. His colors are bright and confident. He passed his tactical examination. Still terrible at combat drills, but excellent at strategy and logistics. He found his place, and he found it because someone protected him long enough to let him grow. Last week, a new class of cadets arrived. Fresh recruits from across the galaxy. Eager, naive, full of bravado. One of them, a young Crovolian, made a joke about the small species, called them decorative. Laughed too loud. Rena was across the courtyard. She looked up from her datapad. Just looked. Did not say anything. Did not move. The young Crovolian's instructor, a grizzled veteran, smacked him upside the head with 2 arms. Idiot, the instructor hissed. See that human? See the Quilvan next to her? You will treat him with respect. You will treat all the smaller species with respect. Or you will learn exactly why we have new regulations about protective details. The young cadet looked confused. It was just a joke, he said. The instructor pointed at Rena. That human ripped off Commander Vexthor's arm for less. Do you want to be next? The cadet went very pale, very quiet. Apologized to every small species he saw for the next week. That is the galaxy now. Changed. Adapted. Educated. We learn that humans are dangerous. Yes, but not in the way we thought. They are not dangerous because they are strong or violent or aggressive. They are dangerous because they care, because they bond, because they will burn down the world to protect the people they love. And honestly, once you understand that, once you respect it, humans are the best friends you could ever have. Just ask Pip. He figured it out first. The rest of us are still catching up. End of file. Report submitted. Documentation complete. And if you are reading this, whoever you are, whatever species you are, remember one thing. If you ever meet a human, be kind to their friends. Trust me on this one. It will save you a lot of pain, and possibly an arm.